Hello, this is Dread from Apprentice's Corner. In today's video topic is going to be a video about Warpath. Yes, it was buffed in patch 7.10 to be very strong. Pretty much what they did was they made it so it has a 60% added damage of buff effectiveness, meaning that instead of 50%, it's 60%. So it's a little bit stronger, but they also did a lot of indirect buffs to it as well, as you'll see in the video. Now, it is very strong and it's a very well placed in this patch's meta. I'm sure it will actually become one of the number one Sentinel skills, as maneuverability is king and vengeance is dead. So, well, not dead, but obviously this is like way better. Like, turns out damage reduction is like can't beat not getting hit, right? Maneuverability is king. But what I like about this build so far is the fact that we're going only bleed. This is an only bleed build. This doesn't use much ignite. We're mainly just going bleed with bleed effectiveness, and it utilizes the bleed very well and does a significant amount of damage thanks to all the modifiers with all the indirect buffs that it had. Now, the play style of the build, if you don't like Volatile Reversal, you're not going to like it. But if you do like if you don't mind Volatile Reversaling everywhere, you should love this build. Absolutely. Like, this is like one of the best arena farmers I've felt in a very long time. So pretty much what we're utilizing is we're going a one-hander and a shield. You can go with like an axe with chance to bleed, or you can just go with a sword for more attack speed. It's really up to preference. Also, with the new res system, we're able to utilize Holy Aura to very strong effect, giving us about like 55% to all Ellie res, which is very close to capping us. So we only need a little bit on gear to solve all of our Ellie res issues. And it's amazing because it allows us to have more slots for other kinds of modifiers, mainly strength, as strength will increase your armor and it will also increase the amount of bleed. Because if you did not know, Warpath gets 4% increased damage per point of strength, which scales the bleeds that Warpath afflicts. So the higher the strength, the better. So absolutely amazing strength stacking build. We're also utilizing block because block was kind of buff slash nerfed. It was kind of in a weird spot before. Now it's very strong, as now it works a lot like glancing blow, where it's just a flat mitigation source. You kind of stack it and it's very strong. It's not overpowered as some people would say, as they removed a lot of health on block in the game. But with a blessing and holy aura, you can definitely take advantage of your block a lot more effectively. But it is not overpowered like some people would like you to think. So it might get a little bit of a nerf, but it's not going to be too big of one. Warpath itself feels absolutely amazing. They recently buffed it last patch as well, where they made it so it has phasing. If you don't know what phasing is in PoE, it's like a buff that allows you to move through mobs. So while you're warpathing around, you can move through mobs. What's really nice about this version of the build is it has enough points left over that you can grab the 40% movement speed cluster. So it allows you to actually move at your movement speed while you're actually warpathing, which is absolutely amazing, as it means every single point of movement speed matters and it's very strong. Maneuverability is king, as silver rings went from A tier to S tier this patch thanks to the nerfs to protection stacking. So you better start grabbing those silver rings. With that being said, we're going to get into the video and the guide here. Thank you so much. All right. Hello, this is our new Paladin. It is 60% is enough. That is the name for it because they recently buffed Warpath to work at a 60% value for your added damage effectiveness, meaning overall it's a 1.2 for all of your added damage, making it into one of the worst skills to one of the best skills. Like I said, 60% is enough. Amazing, right? Now, we're going to go over the skills here real quick. Warpath, absolutely amazing. So, the main nodes we get here, since we're a one-hander and a shield, we cannot take the Dark Nexus nodes, which is fine. The Dark Nexus nodes are cool and all, but definitely reducing the channel cost is better. Now, if we're gonna go down here for travel nodes for but the area is nice. 3 travel nodes here because the hit damage doesn't help us. Then we're gonna get a -6 right off the bat to set us off at 4. It's just going through this way while leveling. And then we get the 40% increased movement speed, so that while we're warpathing, we get the same amount of movement speed as we're, walking, etc. Because if you did not know, warpath gives you a 20% less movement speed modifier while spinning, meaning that you need these nodes to feel like as though you're moving the same amount of speed as like you're walking, right? Now we take 5 nodes into more channel cost. Now, normally that would put us at -11 channel cost instead of 10 because it starts at 10. But we are taking 3 nodes into Draining Assault. It increases the channel cost by 3, but it makes it so that our everything, it is very specific. It says Warpath costs more mana per second, but you deal more damage while spinning, meaning that more damage, meaning that our damage over time, everything, including our dots, will deal more damage, which is absolutely amazing as it allows our Warpath to scale our damage over time. Obviously, later on, when we get a channel cost chest or channel cost helm mod, you can obviously dump some nodes here and put more nodes into Draining Assault. But until then, obviously, you would not be able to. That's Warpath itself. The second most important skill, well, they're kind of the same skill. So we have Volatile Reversal here. Absolutely amazing skill, star of the show. So mainly what we're doing with that is we're spam clicking our sigils and then do Volatile Reversal tricking. That's what I call it, reversal tricking on stream, because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 reversal trick, right? So you get your mana back. Now, obviously with Warpath, you have a very low amount of channel cost, so you can do it for a very long time, thank God. But with Volatile Reversal, we take 3 nodes here, so we get 9% cooldown recovery per kill, which is amazing because it allows us to reversal a lot of times during packs, and it helps us be very maneuverable. And of course, if you take the 200% increased cooldown recovery speed, it no longer recovers health, but we have plenty of health restoration, so we do not need the health restoration from this node. We also take the warp time. This was nerfed recently. It used to give 12% per node up to 36% global attack speed. So this was indeed nerfed, but it is still very strong. And of course, we have the 12% movement speed per thing. So when we are moved back, it allows us to move even faster, up to 80%. Absolutely amazing. Of course, we have the nodes down up here. Void Rift. Void Rift is very important because we take 3 travel nodes to get to Time Rifts, which increase the damage over time of enemies taken that are hit by Void Rift by 60%. So this is pretty much a 60% more damage multiplier when you apply it to enemies, and we're going to be reversing a lot. So we also have Terminal of Void Rift as well. So we have Void Rift on arrival and start, so that we have 2 Void Rifts overall. And of course, we have some area as well, so that the areas are bigger, so it hits the whole pack instead of just like one mob. Absolutely amazing. That's just reversal itself. We're using it just simply to recover our mana. Now, there are some issues with reversal. It is a little bit of a buggy, buggy skill sometimes, but it is definitely worth it this time, guys. Definitely worth it. Now, we have Sigils of Hope. Now, I was going Ignite. I used to go up to the Ignite nodes, but I realized that Bleed was much better for what we're doing here. So we did move over and take 5 points. So damage per active sigil, since we have 4, that gives us about 140% more increased damage. Absolutely amazing, because global damage is very hard to find these days. And of course, we have armor per active sigil, so we get a lot of base armor to scale all of our percentage armor. Absolutely amazing. That's about 800 for us. That's a lot of flat armor, as flat armor is very hard to come by these days. We also have Enduring Hope, 5 points into it, so we get duration, so that it lasts about 25 seconds, so that we do not have to spam it every 5 seconds. It allows us to simply set up for 20 seconds. It's a very long time in Arena, because Arena is pretty fast paced. Then we have Tetragram for an extra sigil. We get double health regen from sigils, but they only affect me. It doesn't matter. And of course, we get 3 nodes into the block chance for active sigil. The reason why we're doing that is so that we get to a max of 78% block chance so far. I believe you can get more if we roll a better shield, but kite shields are better than Solarium shields now. I'll explain later why that is, but it's absolutely amazing. Gives us block effectiveness. Block is the meta for Paladin, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So after that, we have Holy Aura. Holy Aura went from one of the meh skills to one of the best skills in the entire game due to the ability of how easy it caps your res. So, for instance, here you can see my res. Watch what happens when I take my Holy Aura off. Oh, it takes a second. Wait. Oh, that's snapshotting. There you go. All right. Look at my reses. Now watch when I put on Holy Aura. Look at that. Almost all of my alley res from one skill. Absolutely amazing. Allows us to put a lot more stuff into our gear. Absolutely amazing. Lets us run some uniques as well. And why this is important is because Warpath is one of those skills where you kind of can't run other skills with it other than the specific setup we have for Sigils and Volatile Reversal. I'll explain the lunge later. But other than those two, you kind of don't want to run another active skill as it'll cost mana and kick you out of Warpath. So you kind of want to have passive stuff. So this is very passive. So we take the 5 notes here for the Ellie res and the poison res. Take 1 point here for the slow chance, 5 points for the physical damage because we are doing bleed. Take 2 points here last for attack speed, 4 points in here, so we get 8 health on block. So that adds on top of our 6 health on block on the shield, but obviously that could go higher. I just have a really shitty shield. So it's like about 14 health on block, could do much higher than that. And of course, we get 21 ward on block. Now, we do not have that much ward retention, but pretty much what this means is like when a pack of axe throwers come at you, they'll throw their axes, you'll gain a bunch of ward, you'll lose a bunch of ward. But guess what? Your HP will probably stay intact. Absolutely amazing for us. That's pretty much it for Holy Aura. Now we have Smite. Now we need to talk about a specific mechanic that me and Nair, one of my moderators for my stream, by the way, twitch.tv/apprentice corner if you want to see my shenanigans. But so pretty much we found a specific way of utilizing some of the new Forge Guard nodes. So this new node was introduced. It's called Shield Breaker. And the way it works is it gives Fizz Shred and Fire Shred with their throwing attacks, but it makes your throwing attacks cost a lot more. Now, why this is important is because Forge Guard Sentinel in general has a really hard time of having physical and fire shred stacks specifically for Warpath because you'd have to be using something like Vengeance or something like that to get your Fizz or fire shred stacks. In this specific instance, it's going to be our Fizz stacks, a Fizz shred, but it says all throwing attacks, including the throwing attack from Axe Thrower. So we attack twice per second. We have pretty much a 60, we attack a lot more than that per second, but pretty much this is 100% uptime with a 1 second cooldown. It throws an axe that pierces through all enemies, and why that's important is because it is a throwing attack and counts for the physical and fire shred. Why that's very important is because it allows us to run shred without having to run one of the other setups, like for instance, Vengeance, right? Absolutely amazing for us. This node, we thought it was terrible, but then we found this neat little interaction. So every single build now has access to Fizz and Fire Shred in the Sentinel tree, as long as you run this node, and obviously we wanted to go up these nodes, right? So why we're running that and why we're running Smite Idols is because those throwing attacks count as throwing attacks. Those throwing attacks count as throwing attacks for Smite Idols, which, you get the chance to cast Smite on hit. So that allows us to grab the attack and cast speed here, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is just random. Mainly, you just want the attack and cast speed if you've cast Smite recently, which counts from the Smite Idols. So that's why we're running the Smite Idols. Now, obviously, you don't have to run this setup. You could run Teleport on Smite on your E, and then run 2 better idols. You could definitely do that. I could see that being good. But automating the process makes it a lot better. And obviously, Lunge is a lot better than Smite when it comes to teleporting, like maneuverability, because the Descent costs 20 mana, while Lunge only costs 1 mana. So since Smite will work without being on the bar, what that means is we don't have to actually run Smite on bar. We can just run Lunge instead. And we're already pretty maneuverable enough, but Lunge allows us to close distances. And that's pretty much it for the skills here. We're going to look at the passive tree. So you have 30 points into the base Sentinel tree. We have 8 points into strength here, a Juggernaut for strength because we're strength stacking build. The Void Res helps a little bit, so we don't have to stack that much Fizz and Void set. 3-point travel for vitality, health regen. Health regen doesn't matter, as I'll show you later why. This is one of the indirect buffs to Warpath. Damage taken from nearby enemies, minus 10%. Absolutely amazing. Makes leveling with Warpath just beautiful, buttery smooth, right? Absolutely amazing. Almost every Sentinel that's melee should be taking this node. Absolutely amazing, like S tier. More block nodes. We don't really care about the Aegis or Renewal. We take the axe thrower, obviously, up into Blade Master. Whether we use a sword or an axe, obviously, you'd want to be using an axe in the end game for more bleed. But we are using a sword for now because I crafted a really good sword. Now, for Void Knight, we take 5 points in Devouring Blade so that we get access to Volatile Reversal. You could fill out Devouring Blade for a little bit more damage later on for, Arena. It's really good uptime in Arena, but it's not really good for bossing, so I kind of ignore buffs like this, but we mainly needed Volatile Reversal. Now we have Forge Guard here. This is an important part. We take 3 points here, travel, 1 point here, travel, 1 point here, travel, 5 points into Shield Breaker so that we get the Fizz stacks. 5 points is enough. You could even, I think you could shave a little bit more off of this, but I'm unsure what the proper ratio. I think if we're to be specific, I think 3 to 4 nodes in this would be the best for single target, because we're utilizing this for single target, by the way. We don't need this for clearing trash, but because of the way the axes work, they'll like hit the target, right, and shred them. And we just need it for single target because usually Warpath has poo-poo single target, but this helps us a lot and allows you to delete bosses like it's nothing. Now, of course, we have Steel Aegis as well, more block chance. We have the Paladin Tree. I'm not completely done yet. Said 84. 7 nodes will be left. I'll obviously take 7 nodes in Redemption, then the rest of the nodes into Light of Rye for the movement speed, as movement speed is king, especially this patch when your defenses aren't as high anymore. You don't get free defenses anymore as playing Forge Guard or whatever, or Sentinel. So you have to actually move and not take damage. Absolutely amazing. So we take 8 nodes into Conviction. So we get increased physical. We are a bleed build. So this is a PSA from the devs. Penetration does work for your dots as long as it's global. So that physical penetration works for your bleed. The fire penetration works for your ignite. As long as it says it's global, like here, it's good to go. We take 5 points in block chance, obviously, 6 points of vitality for travel. I am going to take the nose out of Majasa Firebrand and put it somewhere else, probably into health, to be honest. Something like that. I just had it here because it was a lot better back then when I was trying Ignite and Bleed, but Bleed turned out to be way better. That's a different discussion. And of course, take 1 point travel here, take 4 points to block chance. Obviously, you want to fill this out so you get the 500 flat, but that'll be later when I get more points. I wanted to fill out the penance because this is all of our bleed in one node, plus all of our idols, right? Obviously, which we'll get to in a second. Then we'll take 7 points into redemption for bleed effectiveness and chance to be added damage. Absolutely amazing. Lots of bleed and lots of damage. And of course, we'll fill out this node here, Staunch Defender, and then try to put as many points as we can into the movement speed by shaving other places, but that's mainly it. Now, that's the skill tree. Now we're going to talk about gearing. So the gear we have so far. All right. I'm going to be honest. I got very lucky. But the gear I have is completely SSF viable. It's just I got a little lucky, okay, before we move on. I have 2 smite idols. Don't need smite. You could run smite on your E. We also have some really good bleed idols here for 32% chance to bleed and 39% chance to bleed. Obviously, you can get much better than this, but this is all I have right now. Then for helmet, just res and health, but obviously you can get bleed effect and chance to bleed if you're wielding an axe, which is later. Amulet, this was a suggestion by a friend. His name is Icy. You should go watch him on Twitch, twitch.tv/icyret. He's a really cool dude. Been playing the fire version of this build, and he found that Bleeding Heart is really amazing for us because it's one of the only sources of global leech for our dots. So absolutely amazing for us. One of our main sustained sources. The health regen doesn't matter since we're focusing on leech and life gain on hit. Now for our weapon, pretty damn good weapon. Got damage over time, melee attack speed, health on hit, and chill on hit. Obviously, you'd want an axe instead with the 30% chance to bleed implicit, but I was on a budget. course, we have the bronze Curious here. Absolutely amazing. This is like one of the rarest like pieces of gear you'll have. Having the physical damage and the bleed duration and the bleed effect. Absolutely amazing for you. This is like your best in slot, but you can gamble for this by just gambling for Sentinel base chest plates. So obviously SSF friendly once you eventually get there, but it's not necessary to get started. It's just really good for pushing high arena. Now for shield, we obviously have block chance, health gained on block, health, reduced damage taken on block. Reduced damage taken on block used to be bad last patch because most builds had 500 health, but now that most builds have more than 2,000 health at the end, now the 4% the reduced damage taken on block is a lot stronger now. Kite shield is the best when it comes to bases because it gets a lot more block effectiveness all the way up to 1800. I just got a really bad base, but it does have a little less block chance, but the block effectiveness is very high as the Solarum shield has 1,000 block effectiveness max. So 1,800 is very strong. Very, very, very strong. Ring, you want silver rings with strength, your res, HP, res, strength, HP. This belt's pretty trash. I just had the tier 6 health, so I was like, why not? Then wing guards. These are not necessary for the build. Let me repeat. Not necessary for the build, but it is very nice, and I would suggest you gamble a pair, but it's not necessary. 100% SSF friendly because you can gamble the engraved gauntlets, but it's not 100% necessary. You could get away with a good rare base. You would lose 40% attack speed, but you could gain in more other stuff like frailty on hit, which I forgot to put on the build, by the way, which you should get because you can get it on rings, gloves, a relic, or your weapon. So I'd suggest getting frailty on hit. Forgot about that. I just realized that now. But yeah, but definitely best in slot when you get there. Now for boots, obviously movement speed king. Try to get as much movement speed as possible. And of course we have the Solarum ensign here for the ignite. What is it called? That one relic, Soulfire. Soulfire does not work with the build because Warpath doesn't inherit the fire tag no matter what we do, including this. If we take these nodes or these nodes, it does not inherit the fire tag, and there's no fire damage flat. So it never inherits the fire tag. So Soulfire is not functional with Warpath. I hope that they change that in the future because taking those ignite nodes, obviously you'd want to be running a Soulfire, right? That's pretty much it for gearing. Like I said, not necessary. This is pretty much necessary, but it's really easy to find / craft. To be honest, the best thing about it is just your weapon and your chest. And idols, right? But like I said, you don't need the smite idols. This is just quality of life. You could very easily just run smite on your E. You have a little bit less. You'll have a little bit less efficiency on movement speed and all that, but you can run 2 extra idols, 2 extra bleed idols. So it's really, to be honest, kind of your opinion, because you don't want to use the teleport node because it costs a lot of mana and you're going to be fighting for mana. That's the biggest issue with the build, is fighting for mana. But with this version, I believe it has fixed that issue. Now, with that being said, I was rank 1 SSF this build. I did it in 24 hours. You could go much farther than me if you spend much longer than 1 day. Let me move my thing real quick here. The news. So sorry. There you go. Rank 1 at 60% is enough. So this is definitely a really good build, and I'm sure that it will be the new meta for Sentinel, and will probably surpass all the other Sentinels once someone plays with it. But I'm not going to, because I don't like playing standard. I think standard's a joke. SSF is my life, so I play SSF instead. That being said, I stream every day pretty much now at twitch.tv/Apprentice Corner. Go give me a follow if you want to see me live and see my stuff live. I also have a Discord channel. With that being said, Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at, and bye.